In Greek mythology, Charon is a psychopomp, the ferryman of Hades, the Greek underworld. He carries the souls of those who have been given funeral rites across the rivers Kharon and Styx, which separate the worlds of the living and the dead. Archaeologists have found evidence that, in some burials, low-value coins were placed in, on, or near the mouth of the deceased, or next to the cremation urn containing their ashes. This has been taken to confirm that at least some aspects of Charon's mythological theme are reflected in some Greek and Roman funeral practices, or else the coins function as a viaticum for the soul's journey. In Virgil's epic poem, Aeneid, the dead who could not pay the fee, and those who had received no funeral rites, had to wander the near shores of the Styx for 100 years before they were allowed to cross the river. Some mortals, heroes, and demigods were said to have descended to the underworld and returned from it as living beings. This journey is known as katabasis, and those who undergo it may acquire partial or full immortality, either through persuasion or payment of another, more exceptional fee. To pay for his entry to Hades as a living mortal, Virgil's Aeneas gives Charon the golden bow. Charon is depicted in the art of ancient Greece. Attic funerary vases of the 5th and 4th centuries BC are often decorated with scenes of the dead boarding Charon's boat. On the earliest such vases, he looks like a rough, unkempt Athenian seaman dressed in a reddish-brown cape, holding his ferryman's pole in his right hand and using his left hand to receive the deceased. Hermes sometimes stands by in his role as psychopomp. On later vases, Charon is given a more kindly and refined demeanor. In the 1st century BC, the Roman poet Virgil describes Charon, manning his rust-colored skiff, in the course of Aeneas's descent to the underworld, after the Cumaean Sibyl has directed the hero to the golden bow that will allow him to return to the world of the living. There Charon stands, who rules the dreary coast. A sordid god, down from his hairy chin. A length of beard descends, uncombed, unclean. His eyes, like hollow furnaces on fire. A girdle foul with grease, binds his obscene attire. Kharon was depicted in ancient Greek art as an ugly, bearded man with a crooked nose, wearing a conical hat and tunic. He was shown standing in his skiff holding a pole, about to receive a shade from Hermes' psychopompos. Modern artwork usually depicts Charon as a skeletal figure, dressed in a long flowing black gown, sometimes carrying a scythe like that of the Grim Reaper. Charon and the Grim Reaper have become intertwined over the years, so much that their appearance is very similar. Charon is depicted in Hercules. In the land of Hades, a rock funeral overhangs the slothful shoals, where the waves are sluggish and the dull mere is numbed. This stream an old man tends, clad in foul garb and to the sight abhorrent, and ferries over the quaking shades. His beard hangs down unkempt, a knot ties his robe's misshapen folds, haggard his sunken cheeks, himself his own boatman, with a long pole he directs his craft. Now, having discharged his load, he is turning his boat towards the bank, seeking the ghosts again. Alcides demands passage, while the crowd draws back. Fierce Charon cries, "Whither in such haste, bold man? Hold there thy hastening steps." Brooking no delay, Alcmena's son overpowers the ferryman with his own pole and climbs aboard. The craft, ample for whole nations, sinks low beneath one man. As he takes his seat, the overweighted boat with rocking sides drinks in lethe on either hand. Then the shadows of the monsters he had conquered are in a panic, the fierce centaurs and the Lapithae whom too much wine had inflamed to war, and, seeking the farthest fens of the Stygian swamp, Lena's labor plunges deep his fertile heads. Charon is depicted in the Golden Ass. Psyche, on her journey to the underworld, will reach the lifeless river Kharon over which Charon presides. He peremptorily demands the fare, and when he receives it he transports travelers on his stitched-up craft over to the further shore. So even among the dead, greed enjoys its life. Even that great god Charon, who gathers taxes for Hades, does not do anything for nothing. A poor man on the point of death must find his fare, and no one will let him breathe his last until he has his copper ready. You must allow this squalid elder to take for your fare one of the coins you are to carry, but he must remove it from your mouth with his own hand. Then again, as you cross the sluggish stream, an old man now dead will float up to you, and raising his decaying hands will beg you to drag him into the boat, but you must not be moved by a sense of pity, for that is not permitted. When you have obtained what Persephone gives you, you must make your way back. You must give the greedy mariner the one coin which you have held back, and once again across the river you must retrace your earlier steps and return to the harmony of heaven's stars. As depicted in Nonnus, Dionysiaca, Greek epic 5th century CE. Lethe was choked with that great multitude of corpses brought low and scattered on every side, in the war of Dionysus and the Indians. Hades heaved up his bar in the darkness, and opened his gates wider for the common carnage. As they descended into the pit, the banks of Charon's river echoed the rumblings of Tartaros. There are many more depictions of Charon from Greek and Roman literature. He makes an appearance in many epics and poems due to his association with death. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on further videos about Charon, the ferryman.